Hey, my name's Hubwood and today I'll review the new DELL Inspiron 16 2-in-1. And we will find out why I personally would not get one for myself. Okay, so let's talk about that. The model we are reviewing today comes with a brand new Intel Alder Lake i7 1260p with 4 performance and 8 efficiency cores, as well as 16GB of dual-channel DDR4 RAM, a fast 1TB NVMe SSD, and an Nvidia MX550 with 2GB of dedicated VRAM. The unboxing is actually pretty unspectacular, as it just comes in a regular brown box without any fancy stuff. Considering this laptop costs around $1,600, that's a tiny bit disappointing. There are much cheaper versions though, which come with an i5 and a less good screen and no dedicated GPU. The build quality on the other hand is really good. It's a full aluminum body, and since it's a 2-in-1, it can be flipped over like this. And the hinges seem to actually be pretty sturdy, and you can open the laptop with one hand, which is always a nice plus for me. Please mind its total weight of 2 kg, which is quite heavy for a tablet. The laptop's highlight is most certainly the awesome screen. It's a 16-inch 4K OLED touchscreen with 60 Hz and a ratio of 16:10. It has a very decent brightness of up to 400 nits, and the vivid colors and overall look and feel are just great. I can't really show that to you via my camera, it's just really satisfying in reality. Now, considering you can use this as a tablet, it's most certainly a big plus that the screen is that good. The color accuracy is pretty neat as well, so graphic professionals can surely use this for content creation. When you're not using the laptop as a tablet, you're still getting a very big touchpad which is embedded into the chassis in an unusual way, which is working just fine for me. I liked it a lot actually. I have to point out though that the keyboard, despite the high quality feel it has, gave me a lot of headache. I can't really tell you what it was, probably the very large shift key on the left, but it took me a few days to get used to the layout, and I would constantly produce typing errors when using it at first. It just felt kind of off or shifted to the left, I don't know. Oh, and it has no numpad, which is something that I use on a regular basis. The power key has a decent fingerprint sensor, by the way. One reason for the keyboard layout are that the speakers are on each side of it, which of course makes sense since you can't flip it over. So the speakers will still point away from, the laptop. And the quality is better than your average slim notebook speakers. Surely it's not MacBook level, but it's pretty okay in my opinion. And even on maximum loudness, the sound was clear, but there is not that much bass though. By the way, this is what the integrated camera looks like and what the integrated microphone sounds like. Connection-wise, we're getting quite a lot of options here. On the left side, we're getting 2 USB-C connections with Thunderbolt 4 support, which can be used for an external display via DisplayPort adapter. You'll need one of them for charging though. Furthermore, it has a HDMI 1.4 port as well as a regular USB 3.2 port. On the right side, we're getting an SD card slot, another USB 3.2 port, and a 3.5mm audio jack. PS, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now would be a good chance, and I'll wait until you're done. Okay, so the laptop is quite hearable in performance mode when being under load while gaming or doing 3D stuff. It's not as loud as a gaming laptop though. But I have to point out that the laptop can get insanely hot in the area above the keyboard. I've measured up to 53 degrees Celsius, which is a temperature at which you can actually burn your skin after a while, and even the WASD keys are affected, which makes gaming actually really uncomfortable because they're getting so hot it also starts really to hurt your fingertips, especially if you don't have a lot of colors on them, and I don't. So that's definitely a big letdown, I guess. There is a silent mode, which will reduce heat and performance, as well as a cooling mode, which will run the fans at maximum speed and throttle the performance a bit to better cool the components. On silent mode, the laptop's performance drops by quite a bit though, as you can see here when we compare the PCMark 10 scores. The Cinebench scores are really good, and the 1260p seems to be able to use its full potential in this laptop, even though we're getting some thermal throttling after a while under full load. But aside from that, it's reacting very quickly, responsive, and it feels very powerful. I have to point out that I was experiencing 2 blue screens of death in the 2 weeks I've been testing it. The big 87 Wh battery allows for some long run times. We'll get around 9 hours and 10 minutes runtime watching YouTube at 50% brightness and 20% loudness using headphones, and 19 hours and 45 minutes leaving it idle on the desktop with a brightness of 20% in battery saving mode with activated Wi-Fi. So it's actually capable of dropping the wattage below 5 watt in that mode, which is pretty good considering the display is actually still being pretty bright that way. The battery charging can be configured via the Dell software, and yes, there are battery conservation modes as well. Closing the lid while it was running actually crashed the laptop and it would not turn back on again. I had to press the power button for 10 seconds to restart it every time that happened. I would assume that Dell should fix this ASAP. Using sleep mode over the start menu worked fine though. I was actually using this laptop to review the performance of the dedicated MX550, and I really have to point out that I would not buy this laptop if you're planning to game with it. One reason would be the mentioned temperature of the WASD keys, unless you're playing with a controller all the time anyhow. The other reason is that the tiny 2GB of VRAM are just way too small in 2022, and some newer games won't even run at 720p in a playable way on lowest settings these days. And that is most certainly going to get worse with future titles. So unless you're only playing lighter esport titles or older games, I would not recommend gaming on this laptop. I actually made a video in which I've tested over 20 games using this very laptop, so make sure to check that one out if you're interested. Now, considering the hot surface, the loud fan noise, the shifted keyboard and the sleeping mode problem, me personally, I wouldn't recommend this laptop right now. But if you're not going to game on it or use it only for lighter stuff and you basically are looking for a huge premium tablet-like laptop with a great screen and a long-lasting battery, you're probably good to go. And that's all for today. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe and like the video. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye bye and cheers.